Welcome to this episode of Getaway Girls TV. Today we've got the vocal girls and Councillor Salma Arif. Salma, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Hi, Kiana. Hi, everybody. Really happy to be here. My name is Councillor Salma Arif, and I'm one of the councillors for Gipton Harehills. I am the lead member for Child Friendly Leeds, and I'm also the deputy exec for Children and Families. Most importantly, I'm a girl who was born in Harehills and raised in Harehills, and I'm your councillor.
How did you first get involved in politics?
That's a really good question, B, and there's a bit of a story behind it. So I didn't really grow up thinking I'm going to be a councillor or I'm going to be a politician. I went to uni, I studied law actually, and then when I was at uni, I thought, well, because obviously politics is literally everywhere. It's we don't realise it, but it affects every part of our life. And I thought, okay, well, I need to align myself with a political party. So I started doing a little bit of research. And to be quite honest with you, the question was never about which party. It was always going to be the Labour Party for me. And I'll tell you why, because when I was younger, unfortunately, I lost my dad when I was really, really young. And my mum had 5 young kids. She had to raise it all alone. So I very much grew up on free school meals. I went to college on the EMA, the £30 that we used to get back in the days. If I didn't have that, I would have struggled getting into college. And obviously the student fees were very different in the Tony Blair era. So practically I was brought up on the welfare state, and I was lucky because my growth sort of happened in those years under the Labour government. So it was literally through and through red. So I joined the Labour Party, B, but I left it at that. So I was literally what you call a card carrying member. So I was like, well, I'm a party member, but I'm not really going to get involved. And the reason for that, and I'm going to be really, really honest with you, is because at the time I associated the local politics dominated by men, particularly Asian men of a certain age, and I just did not feel comfortable in that. I just thought, oh, they're all the same. I don't want to get involved in that. They don't, all of that drama. So I stayed away, but I always was a party member. So it was interesting what's going on more nationally than locally. But what happened? Our then MP for a very long time, George Moody, he was retiring. So we were then selecting our new MP, and I thought, do you know what, this is really important, because this guy or this woman, whoever it's going to be, is going to go and decide what happens nationally, and that's going to impact me locally. So do you know what, I need to go to this meeting. So I don't know if some of you guys know, but there's a Shine building in Harehills. The meeting was there, and I did not know anybody. I had no idea who else was a member. I'd never attended a meeting. I just had an email to say Gipton Harehills is going to do a selection to choose our next MP, and I knew who I was voting for at that point. So I thought, I'm going to turn up to this meeting. I walk in, go upstairs in the Shine building. It's a fairly large building we're in. There's 74 people in that room, because they had to count who the numbers were so that they knew what the ballots were. And out of those 74 people, I kid you not, girls, there were 3 women in that room, and I was one of them. And I remember there was loads of men, and I went and sat at the front because I felt intimidating. I didn't want to go at the back. And there was 3 other women there. And we went through the whole process of choosing who we nominated. And I went home that night and I thought, oh my God, these people can't represent me. They just can't, And then I thought, well, there's a problem here, because by not getting involved, I am part of the problem, because I'm not going in there and representing the group that I should be representing. So what I did, I just rang up a few people that I knew were involved, and I said to them, look, I want to get involved. How do I go about doing that? They were actually, you'd think I'd be met with, some barriers. They were over the moon that a girl at my age wanted to get involved. So I was called into the local branch, and in that same branch meeting, I was made the chair, which was a bit overwhelming, but I think they thought, well, I would be there and I'd make the notes and make the teas for them, whatever. Obviously, I did no such thing. So I became the chair, and then I thought, oh, I need to get a bit more involved in this. And then you have to be really strategic in politics. You have to be very clever about who you know. It's not about what you know, it's often who you know. So what I started doing was I started to attend the right meetings. So I started attending. So you've got local level, which is what the branch meeting was. And then I attended the CLP, which is the constituency Labour Party, and that's where things really happened. And I just started turning up, and people just started looking at me thinking, who is she, where's she from, what's she about? And that's really where my political journey started. And then when I got involved, started doing some small campaigns, I had people saying to me, why don't you get involved in politics? Why don't you become a councillor? You know, you're articulate, you know the area, you can represent us. I didn't feel confident enough to say I want to be a counsellor, because as women we have the imposter syndrome, or we're not good enough, and I was really scared, because I just thought, well, I can't do this. And then when people started saying, well, why don't you give it a go, and then an opportunity came by where I got selected in 2015 to fight the seat in 2016, and I was elected with, I think, if I'm not mistaken, like 80% of the vote in Gipton Harehills. But people knew me, I knew them, and I was like, I'm going to go in, I'm going to change the world. It doesn't quite work that way, but you know, I got to the table, and I often say, you know, it's really important, if there's anything that you guys are going to take away from this, is it's very important that we come to the table, okay? Because if we don't come to the table, guys, we're going to be on the menu. You don't want to be on the menu. There's anything that I can tell you is if you want to get involved, get yourself on that table. Otherwise, they're going to talk to you about, they're going to talk about you when you're going to be on that menu. So that's sort of what led me to my political journey, and obviously now I've been a councillor for 5 years.
Our second question is, have you had to overcome any challenges to get to where you are today? Obviously, you've already had one or two.
I have. I mean, Charlotte, you're overcoming challenges every single day. I'm a woman, yeah, and then I'm a woman of colour. Okay, so there's the added complexities that we have as women, and then being women of colour, the perceptions that you have, the challenges. Some people were really great. Some people were like, who are you and what do you think you are? And you're coming in trying to be a counsellor and trying to sort the community out. And you have to navigate that. And it can be a bit scary sometimes, because you feel intimidating, or other individuals, and these are not necessarily men. I've had women who have been there for a long time who intimidated me. And I was like, you know, you'd think they'd support you. There were some amazing women that did support me, but there were women that were like a little bit, you know, felt intimidating. So I think the challenges come and go. It does get a little bit better as you go on, because you get savvier and you get cleverer, and you don't take things too personally. And to be honest with you, if you want to go into politics, you need to wear quite a few layers of skins, because it is a tough world out there. But it's so rewarding, and it's so important for us to be there. And the more we are there, and the more people like me and you are there, the easier it will become.
Our third question for you is, at the moment, what difference do you think you're making by being in your position?
Again, I think it's people look at me and perhaps think, oh, do you know what? She's a Muslim. She's from an Asian background. She's a woman. You know, at the time I was a little bit more younger than I am now. If she can do it, you know, hopefully, you know, it inspires other people. I also would hope, or I consciously would like to put the ladder down for other girls to climb up. When I came in, there really wasn't that. I had to navigate the world myself, but I'd like to be in a position where if I know somebody's interested, or if I know somebody is keen, then I can say, look, do this, do that, do that. There's a ladder, and climb back up, and I can advise them. So me being where I am does make a difference, because what it does is it makes me go into rooms and fight for people like us, because I get it, I understand it. So to give you an example, when I first became a counsellor, the biggest issue I saw, or there were loads of issues, was there was loads of alcohol shops or off licenses happening in Harehills. Literally, and it was just causing so much issues, because obviously people are hanging outside. It contributes towards antisocial behaviour. It just doesn't look great. There's mess on the floor. So the first thing I wanted to do was I wanted to stop more off licensing being open. So what I did was we called a meeting and we had the police there, we had licensing officers there, we had antisocial behaviour officers there, we had council officers. I think there was about 15 people in the room, and I remember that meeting because I felt like I was going to cry at the end of it. And I said, look, we've got a problem with off licensing in Harehills. And every single one of those officers, beside one officer, said, no, councillor, there isn't an issue with off licenses in Harehills. But you know what? These guys don't work in, they don't live in Harehills, they don't know about Harehills. And I said, I'm telling you, we have an off license problem in Harehills because I live there, I was raised there, and I see the problems. And they just came back at me saying no. And I said, okay, you're saying no, but I want you to go and do some investigation. So what they did, Zara, was they went and consulted the local community. And guess what? The local community said there is a massive problem with off licenses. And on the back of that, after we did the consultation, we managed to get a policy called the Cumulative Impact Policy, which is called CIP. And what now that has done in Harehills, I don't know if you heard about it, is it stopped the flow of off license. So anybody who wants to open an off license has to prove a case for why there should be another off license. And then we can go in and say, no, we don't need an off license because of X, Y, and Z reason. And because of that, we've, I think, stopped 3 off licenses in Harehills so far, which is amazing. And I know it's 3 and it's not a lot, but in 5-10 years time, those 3 can then double and triple, and then we're carrying on with the problem. So now we've stopped the stem of more off licenses. We can work with the off licenses that aren't working and focus on that. So what difference does it make, going back to the question of having someone like me where I am? It helps because I understand the community and I can fight on behalf of the community. And that's why it's important to, as I say, coming to the table, because you represent those people that may not necessarily have a voice otherwise.
What work have you done or are you doing to help improve the lives of women in Leeds?
So that's a good question. So as a councillor, so basically we're councillors and we represent a ward, and then we have to deal with all the casework that comes along. So if somebody says I need help with a house, or my bins haven't been picked up, or we deal with that. And then as councillors, we are also giving additional responsibilities to focus on. And I was given the role of being child-friendly Leeds. And I know we've got woman-friendly Leeds, and it's another colleague of mine called Jules Hesselwood who deals with that. And I'm sometimes get a bit jealous of her. But to be fair, I love child-friendly Leeds as well. It's just amazing. So to answer your question about how I've personally, because it's not really, in terms of women, that goes under Jules, and I know Jules is doing some amazing work. But I think what we do as councillors, as women councillors, is obviously we campaign, we encourage more women to get involved in politics, because it goes back to the point of we need more women, because we can't have the same sort of people who look like Johns and George on the council, and that, frankly speaking, across the whole of England, actually Leeds is doing better. That's who we have, because it's easily accessible for Johns and Georges, because they're retired and they've got nothing, that they're towards the end of their career and they become councillors, but they don't represent us. So I think in terms of the work that I've done, obviously I'm the deputy executive member for children and families. I make sure that as lead member for Child Friendly Leeds, children as a whole have a friendlier place to be born in, to live in. Gipton Harehills has got one of the youngest population of children in the area. I'm constantly trying to make things better, supporting local partnerships. Obviously there's so much to do, and there's so much I can do, because there's things I can do and there's things I just can't do. So I think it's consciously, as a woman, we're always going to want to make things better for other women. It's ingrained in us. We're feminists. That's what we do. And everything we do in terms of all the policies that we do, we always try to make sure that it's women friendly, it's children friendly. And that's where my child friendly side of things comes along.
What about for younger girls?
For younger girls, so again, Child Friendly Leeds is where we've got the sort of encouraging young girls in part of the to get involved in politics. There's loads of Have a Voice youth. We've got the young MPs, which hopefully some of you will come through, I hope, and then I can come in and I can support, because I can just listen to you guys, I can see so much potential. So I think my job and our job as councillors and officers is to empower you girls. And if it means me picking up the phone to Flavia and Flavia saying, Salma, I need funding so this workshop can go through, then I'm going to say, I can't really say no to Flavia, to be fair. It's difficult. I'm sure nobody can say no to Flavia. Or if it's Catch, if they're doing something, or if it's Shantona, who are maybe doing work with women that are probably not confident and or probably have domestic abuse issues. So it's making sure that I support those organisations, and funding is one thing, but also connecting people, and also nominating people for the amazing work that they do in Child Friendly Leeds Awards, and just recognising it. So it's a whole host of things, B.
Okay, so our next question is a bit more mental health specific. Have you done any work on young women's mental health previously?
So I saw this question, Charlotte. I mean, I haven't. I've never been directly involved, if I'm honest with you. But we're aware of the stuff that's happening with MindMate, and all the resources that are available there. I've actually got a meeting next Wednesday, and on the agenda is mental health, particularly now, because I think this is going to lead on nicely to the next question we've got. In the COVID world, mental health is I'm feeling it personally myself, and I'm getting that from my local residents as well. So I think it has to be certain people, I think attitudes are different. Some of the older generation think, well, we just got on with it, and what's mental health? And actually, no, mental health is very much a problem, and we need to talk about it, and we need to discuss it, and it does impact people. So whilst I haven't done any policy work on mental health, it's very much on my radar. And as I say, I've got a meeting next week with quite a few people, and it's going to be, how do we support people with mental health? But I do know MindMate is doing some amazing work in Leeds.
Lovely, thank you.
So my question, the sixth question is, have you seen a recent increase in people asking for help or complaining about mental health issues in resources?
Yeah, zero. That's again going back. So how can I explain it to you? When the first lockdown happened, there was a lot of panic. Nobody had ever experienced anything like this. There were people that were, there were people ringing me saying, I can't go and see my mum, she's in a care home, I'm really worried for her, and it's causing me a lot of anxiety. To answer your question, yes, it's gone over the anxiety, mental health, people feeling just exhausted by all of the 3 lockdowns. It has definitely increased. I mean, on a personal level, seeing it from colleagues' point of view as well. And I think what's sad is we don't get to see each other face to face. And yeah, we've got loads of Zoom meetings, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. I sit on so many Zoom calls, but just seeing and being in the same room, just listening to the cues, or you just don't get that on Zoom. And obviously, sadly, zero people have lost loved ones, people have lost jobs, people have got real financial problems. So I've got to sit here and tell you, yes, it's massively increased. And I think this lockdown has been a lot difficult for a lot of people as well. But having said that, there is light at the end of the tunnel because of the vaccination and how well it's gone. And I think Leeds have done a brilliant job. Weather's going to get better. We're over the 3rd peak, or the 2nd peak, as is what the government is telling us. And I just think right now we all need to be aware that we need to take care of each other, not only each other, but ourselves as well. And I have to remind myself sometimes of that as well.
Have you seen any successful campaigns during COVID, and what makes them successful in your eyes?
Yeah, that's a good question, B. So what I really liked, again, I was connected with Child Friendly Leeds. So Child Friendly Leeds was, we can't obviously, so there's so much we can do in COVID times because we're not able to knock on people's door and go and have a chat with them. We kind of have to do anything from far away. What I really liked, or that I was involved in with the COVID, so obviously we represent Gipton Harehills, and we've got people that live in terraced houses. They don't have access to gardens. They can't go to Roundhay Park or somewhere fancy and go around a massive park. Some people don't even have gardens. They don't even have access to internet, to do their work. So I was really worried about those people, particularly in Harehills. Gipton, slightly, the houses are different. The makeup is, you've got gardens. Harehills just have terraced houses, and in some families you've got loads of kids that are living in a 2-3 bedroom house. So what we did with Chalfont and Leeds, we managed to get some funding, and we partnered up with an organisation over in Seacroft, and what we did was we created packs, goodie packs. It had arts and crafts, it had little balls, it had toys, it had loads of different things, and we funded quite a few of those packs for people in Harehills, and actually other parts of the city as well. And the feedback we got from families was, oh, thank you so much, because it just meant my kid could do something, and they could get down. And I know it's in the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot, but it's the little things like that, and recognising that actually there's going to be a child in Harehills who doesn't have access to Wi-Fi, or can't be on their PS3 because they can't afford to be on a PS3, or can't go to Rounded Park because they live in Harehills, which is a really built up area. Chalfont and Leeds have done some really good competitions. So there's been writing competitions that have happened. People have come, and I think that's just kept the community going. So there's been stuff happening, not as much as we'd like to, but I think the ultimate guide that Chalfont and Leeds have got, I don't know if you guys have seen that, if it's worth looking at. It tells you about all the resources that are available, all the help you can get, but also the fun aspect of things and what you can do. So yeah, I'm proud of how Leeds has reacted and obviously Getaway Girls have been brilliant, and some of the work you guys have been doing, some of the work Catch has been doing, some of the work Adam Aslam, you know him, the work he's, in fact, Gipton Harehills members funded a project on lockdown. It was called, I can't remember now, Lock Teens or something along those lines, where young people actually expressed how they felt in lockdown, and they did poetry, they did some drawing. And it was good to see that, and hopefully the plan is to extend that. So I think there's loads of different things that have happened as time has gone on, to answer your question, B.
So how can you help our campaign that we're doing about mental health for teenage girls?
Well, you tell me. How can I help you? Yeah, I think the key is, obviously there's going to be the funding aspect of it, which is always important, and obviously we're in COVID times now, and we've got budget issues, so there's the financial support I can provide you. There's also, you know, support in terms of, if I can say, oh, actually Getaway Girls, you guys can work well with another organisation that's doing something similar, connecting the two of you. Raising awareness, you know, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and just championing really the work that you are doing, and then just supporting you and just saying, look, well done, carry on doing what you're doing. It isn't easy, but, you know, just a big pat on your shoulders to say, you know, well done. And if there's anything I can do, just tell me, call me, you know, I'm here.
Lovely, thank you.
So what message do you want to give to a young girl in Leeds right now? Because everyone's going through a lot. Yeah,
everybody's going through a lot. We all are. Like, it's anxious times. It is a weird world we're living in. The only thing I can say is just stay sane. And if you need support, just talk to whoever. It might not be a parent that you feel comfortable. Speak to a friend. Just even if it means somebody that you know, talk to them and try to, I guess, don't stay quiet about it. If something's impacting you, whatever small little bit it is, talk about it, try to seek help. The help is available. And I guess, you know, on a broader sense, any girl has the capacity to do absolutely anything, guys. You know, I'm a girl from Harehills. Some of my history, you know, I not many people know this, and I guess it's being recorded. You know, I didn't even do my GCSEs, you know, and I went and did a law degree, and I'm now a counsellor. Doesn't matter where you come from, it's literally about the journey and where you end up. And it's really important that you support and you learn from others. It's important, if there's support and help available, find it and push through those barriers, push through those doors. Come to the table, otherwise you're going to be on the menu.
Anyone got any questions?
Just any offbeat questions, any advice, anybody wanting to come into politics, you know, if there's anything you guys want to, yeah, Zara, go for it.
So at the moment we've got loads of youth groups in Harehills. There's, you know, Getaway Girls, Catch, then we've got a bit further down we have Shantonas and the YEP programme. That's what you were talking about, the lockdown teens. What do you think those youth clubs should be getting, and how do you think the public should be treating them, because we know that, like, you know, it's not easy for people to kind of get the message that there's stuff going on. So how do you think that'll kind of improve in the coming years, and what are you going to do to help it?
Yeah, I think, believe it or not, a lot of people, I won't say I'm jealous, but I'm impressed by the stuff that is going on in Harehills in terms of the partnership. Because I often get other councillors saying to me, oh, Sal, you're so lucky, you know, you've got Catch, you've got Getaway Girls. And so we're actually really lucky that we have got Catch, we have got Shantona, we have got LMYF, we have got, because Harehills makeup is so unique. Everybody lives in Harehills from different walks of life. It's very, very multicultural. One part will attract, Catch will attract a certain type of an audience. Shantona will do that. Getaway Girl will do something different. But in an odd way, between the different organisations and the partners, they cover Harehills in a nice way. My job, again, is to champion, to fund, to support them, to guide them, make sure they're carrying on doing the work that they are doing. In terms of engagement zero, everybody will engage or gravitate towards something different, whereas you may gravitate towards Getaway Girls because that's where your mind frame is. Somebody else, a young lad living in Hollingham's, will gravitate towards Catch. And so long as I, as a councillor, we as councillors can make that possible and support those organisations and help them when they need it, that's the best we can do to make it flourish and to have a space where so many different organisations can exist and coexist amongst each other. And I think they're only going to get bigger. The amount of awards that different Getaway Girls has won or Catch, the fact that we've got goats in Harehills, come on, you know, I've got chickens now, and that's beautiful. You know, people from all over different parts of town, greener suburbs, come in Harehills. So I think Harehills is beautiful, it's unique, the people are just amazing, and there's so much we're doing, so don't underestimate the work that we are doing. We don't often see it because of everything we're fighting and dealing with, but there are other people who think, wow, you're so lucky, you've got so many different organisations doing what they're doing in the ward.
Thank you. How would people contact you, though, if they want to kind of get in touch with you to do these things? Because a lot of people know that there are councillors about, how would someone contact you?
Oh, do you know what, Zero? I get contact all the time. People WhatsApp me. In fact, there was a young lad who has messaged me on WhatsApp, send me loads of pictures. I'm like, please, can you email me? Because that's the way we've got to do it with casework. So you can get me on Twitter. I've actually given my mobile number out, so I've got one mobile number. It's out to the public or my residents because I have to be approachable. So if you just type in Councillor Salma Arif, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Email me, mobile phone, drop me a text, WhatsApp me. Yeah, basically I'm accessible in any way that I can be.
How did you find, from having the idea that there were so many off licenses in Harehills and that was something you wanted to change, yes, how easy was it to actually initiate the initial meeting? Like, do you think you're able to make the changes you want as a councillor, or there's still barriers even to get to that point?
Massive barriers. So no, to answer your question, it isn't easy, and there's a lot of things that you have to go through. And the initial meeting I had with the officers, I swear to God, I'm not going to lie to you, I felt like I was going, and I'm a very tough girl. I nearly walked out thinking I'm going to cry, because every single one of those officers, even the police, they all said to me, there isn't an issue with Harehills. And I'm like, which world do you live in? Because the world I'm living in, I'm telling you, there's an issue with off licenses in Harehills. And we had to go through a 2-year process for the CIP to go through council, for it to be made policy. So it's doable. You just have to stick to your guns, and you have to be an activist, basically. Obviously, there's certain things I can do as a councillor, which is amazing, and I don't take that for granted. But it's still not as easy. Yeah, to answer your question.
Thank you.
Where is like the best place to start in terms of getting your girls into politics and like activism, that kind of world? Because for me, I'm currently vice chair on the Leeds Youth Council, so that was like my way in, I suppose. I've been very involved with like youth parliament and child mayor as a result of that. But for obviously so many girls, their only real contact with anything of that nature is, to be honest, I suppose school. So I'm just wondering why you think the best kind of starting place is in order to improve representation, not just of women, but of just like every demographic that's not straight white men in politics in the future?
Going back, that's a really good question. I'm really glad you've asked that question, Charlotte. I think for me, the political journey obviously started off what I saw and what happened, and what has helped me and still does help me is I've always gone out of my way to get involved in things, and that's actually opened up so many doors for me. So I was on this program called YMLP back in 2014, Young Muslim Leadership Program, and that just massively pushed me up and empowered me. I was part of the Joe Cox Leadership Program. After Joe Cox sadly passed away, I was on the first cohort of that. I was on the Operation Black Vote, if anybody's heard of that leadership program, and the reason why I go out of my way to go on these programs is I develop as a person, and then I also managed to see you're connecting. There's more to the Leeds world as well. You connect with people in London. Those people then put you in touch with other people, and then you're growing as a person. I think for me, obviously, I literally just picked up the phone and said, I want to get involved. And I was lucky I didn't have that many barriers and I became the chair. But if you want to get involved in politics, you have to put yourself out there, Charlotte. You have to say, I want to be a politician. I'm going to be an MP and I'm going to be the Prime Minister, because why not? Yeah, and you have to be brave and you have to be bold. And if somebody said to me, oh, I want to get involved in politics, I'm like, right, okay, what can I do to help this young girl? Or what can I help to do this young man to get into politics? Because you have to be direct. So don't be shy about it. If that's what you want to do, and if you want to be an MP, then I can say, okay, Charlotte, get yourself on this course in Leeds. I'll tell you who I'll connect you with. And then it's for you to do what you can to make those opportunities. Don't let any opportunity go by. Just do everything, and that way you learn. You and people start taking you seriously. Are you part of a political party, Charlotte?
I'm not at the minute. So I would be in the future. It's just not something I've got around to do.
Fair enough. Start to think about which political party is your home, and I think that's probably a starting point. And whilst I did that at uni, and I was a card-carrying member, but I very much made sure what was going on. I was still attuned to it. And when you feel you're ready, then come into those boring meetings where you're just half asleep, but get yourself there, and then people will start to take you seriously. But if it means you approaching a councillor and saying, look, you're a councillor, can I do a day shadowing you? I want to see what the life of a councillor is. Because what you think of a life of a councillor or an MP is probably might be different when you actually shadow them. We're in a lot of boring meetings, guys. So just know what you're getting yourself into, and you need, Charlotte, you need allies.
Yeah, you just gotta like put yourself out there and say yes to stuff, because even if it's not in your comfort zone, that's sort of way. Even if you don't end up enjoying it and you think, oh, actually that's not for me, I think it does end up pointing you in the direction that you ultimately want to be in.
You're right. I mean, looking back, I mean, I was so scared, because this was such a world that wasn't my world. I was never intending to be a politician. I admire people who say, yeah, I want to become a politician because they've got a straight path and they know what they're going to do. I just had to navigate and find my own way. And there are good people there that will help you. And then there's some idiots out there as well, but that's fine. Let them, you do what you need to do. But yeah, say yes to, don't say yes to everything, because you don't want to do everything, but be strategic about, do you know what, this year I'll do that course, and because that's going to then lead me to that, and that's going to open up those doors. But only do it if you're really passionate about it. If you want to come into politics, you have to be passionate about changing the world, or even your street, or even getting a bin outside your street, because that's politics. That's what it's all about. It's the little things that you're doing. If you're not passionate about it, it's a hard world out there. So you definitely want to do it. Just know that you care about what you're doing, and you'll succeed. There's no doubt about that.
Absolutely, thank you.
What's the most rewarding part of your career so far?
Oh, okay. Do you know what? It's a good question. I think there's loads of things you just do. It's just part of my job. Loads of people will ring me up and say, oh, do you know, thank you so much. And I'm just like, it's just my job. Why, I think the most rewarding policy-wise, the CIP, I think, has been a good thing that I've done. And I think, do you know what's most rewarding? When I don't know, an elderly lady rings you up on a Saturday from her home number, needs a tree cutting, and it's been affecting her for the last 3 months because it's just got to her, and you make that happen and she's just delighted. It's just the little things. It honestly, it's nothing like, oh, I did something really amazing. It's just knowing you've helped somebody who, and it's really minute, and it just like, you kind of feel like, oh, okay, I went to sleep, you know, I did something. And I was a consultant, actually. Before I was a counsellor, I used to work for, obviously I did a law degree. I had a really fancy job. I used to get paid a lot of money. I had a really fancy car. But you know what? I used to come home and think, I'm just making a rich man richer, you know? And then I left that job, which was a really brave decision. And I worked as a full-time counsellor. A lot of counsellors have jobs and work as well. And I packed it in because I just felt like, because I couldn't get to some meetings and I felt really, really guilty that I was missing, and I felt I was letting down my residents. So I became a counsellor full time, but I don't regret it because, you know, I'm doing other things as well now. Yeah. So who wants to be a politician here? Anybody? Zero? Kiana? Charlotte? Thinking about it?
I don't know. Something in that field. To be honest, I have been considering doing a law degree, and I have also been considering doing international relations, but we'll see. I've got a few months to work out what I'm doing.
Yeah, you have. I mean, I would probably go and do a master's in international relations, actually, because what I do, part of this as well, I don't know if you know, but I also have a women's group. I've got a women's group that I've been doing for a little while, Jewish and Muslim women. So you'd think that Jews and Muslims don't get on, yeah, especially in a community like this. And I created a group 4 years ago, because what I hear about Jewish people is from the media, and what they heard about us was from the media about, oh, Muslims are bad, and they go and all the negative connotations. So we set up a group, and as part of that, I'm also on an international basis, I'm part of this group called Muslim Jewish Conference, which is basically Muslims and Jewish people from across the whole world, America, Israel, African countries. They get together and they meet in Europe somewhere. So I've really interested about what's happening in the world. Sometimes, you know, you can get so bogged down in what's happening locally. So international relations I'm quite interested, because what happens in the world makes a massive impact. We don't realise it, but it really does impact on what's happening to us here. So yeah, and law was a really good degree to do, to be honest with you, because you just learn about everything, and you can become a politician if you've got a law degree, or you can go and become a lawyer. So yeah, it doesn't matter what you do, you know, you'll eventually find your way back home. But so Kiana wants to be a politician, Zara wants to be a politician. Whatever I can do to support you guys, I will do. If there's any courses or any programs, or if you guys want to shadow me when we're after lockdown, just give me a shout. I can give you a bit of a flavour. I can take you into Civic Hall. You can potentially come in on full council to see what we do when we're shouting at each other. So,
thank you.
Yeah, just let me know.
Thank you for watching this episode of GGTV. We'd also like to say a big thanks to Salma for her time, and also the girls for their amazing questions. If you're between the ages of 13 and 18 and would like to get involved in Vocal Girls, keep watching.
Hi, I'm Kiana.
And I'm Martha, and together we run a project in Leeds called Vocal Girls.
Vocal Girls is part of the wider movement of making Leeds the first women-friendly city in the UK.
Vocal Girls is a space where young women can express themselves, work together to create change, and have their voices heard.
So what sort of things will we be discussing?
We'll be discussing the issues the young women themselves have brought up, such as equality, safety, freedom, identity, opportunities for girls, and diversity.
But we'd also love to hear from you. We want to put voices at the forefront of our campaign. So what issues would you like us to discuss? Leave a comment in the section below.
But how can I get involved, you might ask?
If you're a girl between the ages of 13 and 18 and would like to get involved, then you can send us an email at the addresses below.
For more information, you can follow us on Twitter at VocalGirlsWFL. Also, feel free to email us if you have any questions or want to find out ways that you can get involved.
If you want to hear more about the Women Friendly Leeds movement, then sign up to the newsletter below.
Hope you're doing well and safe.
See you soon.